Hey, I want to welcome you all to the Spiritual Corner. My name is Prism, P-Chan, or PZ, whatever you want to call me. And I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I'm going to be doing a bit of a lesson guided by Spirit, and we're going to see what we can dive into as of how we can get you on board with doing your shadow work. I feel that a lot of people are intimidated by it because they don't really understand what exactly is being done. A lot of people do writing, um, and I feel like a lot of people that I've come across previously were a little bit too vague for me. And I decided to break down how I was able to overcome not just anxiety, but mainly my anger. I used to be very short-tempered, very explosive, very passionate, and I didn't understand that all of that could be alchemized and transmuted and funneled into my passions, my dreams, my desires, just things that I needed to pay attention to more than the outer world. Um, there was also things in my life that caused me to stack up a lot of just karmic cycles and lessons, but I didn't know how to necessarily solve them. It was more like I knew I had things that I needed to work on, like, father issues, mother issues, things I needed to, reprogram myself to not do, that I grew a habit of doing out of whether it was self-soothing or anything like that. Um, just being reactive is a huge detriment to you because you end up self-sabotaging, hurting yourself, being stagnant because you're focusing all this energy on making yourself feel better when all you need to do is tackle the situation once and for all, and then you won't have to because you'll know how to navigate around it. And that's where I come in. So if you are ready to finally get rid, or at least get on the path of controlling your anger, I am here to help you do that. The first thing is to acknowledge that you have an anger problem, or that you don't know how to control your emotions. If you can't acknowledge that, you can't move forward. So that needs to be step one, whether it's at the end of this video, tomorrow, next week. You need to ponder on your actions, how you respond to people around you. Don't justify what they did to bring that response out of you, because you are in control of that situation. Therefore, whatever you try to do is on you. It's not on that person. As much as you want to project onto that person that it was their fault that you reacted the way you did, it is not. That is narcissistic, and you need to cut that out. You need to take responsibility for the fact that you ultimately cause yourself to do that, because you could have chose not to react. Just like you can choose not to respond to someone, you can choose not to do something, not to act out, slam doors, throw things, break things. Raging, if you play video games, is a thing that people do because they don't have control of their emotions. They think that the only way I'm going to satisfy myself is if I throw this controller, because they're so heated. And I can feel that energy channeling through some of you if you are ragers. I can feel it. It's when you're at your wit's end, but why do you feel that way? Why does losing or lag or a malfunction in your controller or like anything make you feel the way that you do? So you acknowledged it. Let's say you've seen my video and you are at the point of acknowledgement, so you clicked on it and you want to know how to practice getting to a point where you move forward from that. Like, okay, so I have a problem with my anger. What do I do? Okay, so now you have to practice mindfulness. It's time you start moving with intention. No more moving autonomously. You are not an NPC. You are not a zombie, and you do not confine yourself to the systems of this world. Therefore, you are not in the matrix. It's time to get out of that, at least. If you keep rolling with me, you will. It's time to practice that mindfulness. Really think about why you do the things that you do. And sometimes it's going to be hard because you're used to just going on autopilot and just moving. But start really looking at what you do and why you do it. For example, you can use your job as an example. If you happen to be a little hot-headed at work, and you want to work on you being snippy, like let's say your job is like you got to work on your snippiness. You are very um, you're very much too hot-headed when you're dealing with the customers. Okay, so now you have a quest. It's time to start looking at challenges and problems in your life as quests. So now you have a quest to see why these people drive this reaction out of you. And when they drive that reaction out of you, pay attention to what is surrounding that. What is the whole thing about? Is it because of their lack of understanding? Is it because of you repeating yourself? Is it because they said something that was in like offensive to you? Now, what was that thing? Let's just get an example out here. Let's say you're talking to someone and they say, well, I don't like this color. And, you have patience. You're like, that's fine. Let's get you another color. And they're like, well, I need somebody else because you don't know what you're doing. And let's say you decide to turn around and say, well, then we don't need your business. Get out of here. That interaction could have got you fired, but someone wrote for you and they said something to help justify it, but you knew that you were wrong in that response. You got to dig on that response. But let's say that you want more data. So you go to someone else and you're helping them, and they say, well, you're at register. They don't like the quality of the item, so they say, well, I don't like this sweater. And you say, well, okay, well, let's go ahead and find you something else if you want to step away from the register. And then they say, well, no, you don't know what you're doing. So I don't want you picking out what I need because this is what you picked out anyway. And you flip your biscuit again. You say, well, then fine, go ahead and do what you got to do. It's your life. Like you flip out to where again you get approached by your manager. Those two things have a correlation. Let's say that kept happening. Those two things though have a correlation right there. You feel abandonment at that moment, and that's where your anger comes from. Okay, so then you go while you're thinking about this later because you couldn't stop yourself, but you took note of these things. Why do I feel abandoned, or why does someone not needing my help or taking away the ability for me to interact with them hurt me so much? Why does that make me flip out? Okay, so my mom used to ask me to do chores around the house. I wouldn't do it the right way, so they say, oh, well, no, I can do it. You go sit down, you don't know what you're doing. Boom. So now you've done step 3. You've changed your outlook because you understand where it came from. And then you approach the challenge and ask what the lesson is. So instead of beating yourself up in those moments, you took them as those are lessons I need to handle later, so I can change my outlook. And then when you approach that challenge or that quest, you you were, it's like, okay, so you're subconsciously at this time mindful of your what you're doing, because you aren't able to catch it at that moment, like you will be when you get used to doing this. But later you will know, oh, like I was supposed to be mindful at the time and stop myself, but I remember everything that happened because I was supposed to be mindful at that moment, and that stuck out to me. We're kind of using trauma, or the way that trauma works, to remember things, and how you humiliate yourself, as a way to kind of jumpstart a change in your perspective. So like I said, you sit there later after you have time, and we've gone through this whole thing of where that even came from. So now you know where it came from, and then you start to realize, well, they're not my mom. I need to stop looking at them like they're my mom. I need to look at them like they're customers. And if they don't want me working with them, then that's fine. I can always work on my style, my choices of color. I can learn a few things about color to where I can have more options. Maybe are there's more questions that need to be asked at work. If it's a clothing store, what season are we in? What season are they preparing for? That needs to be a question that you ask before you even touch anything. What's their style? If they sell like cars, or they're buying a car, what's your style of car? Is there a certain like look that you're going for? Because sometimes certain looks fall into certain color schemes, so you can even look at it that way. So you just start like doing more research in order to fix this, rather than coming to the same like you have more in your arsenal to work with to solve a problem, rather than being kind of upset and feeling like defeated at that moment. You feel more optimism and hopefulness, because now you know the problem. Now you know how to fix it. And also now you know how to react, not to take it seriously, not to take it personally, because that's where it stems from. It stems from personal things, or things that hurt you before, that you took personally and held to your heart, and caused a shadow effect over it, to where whenever that is hit or touched on, because it's really just touched on, you feel more than a touch. It feels like a tug. It feels like someone's ripping your heart out for that moment, and that's that sting. And it happens so quickly that you don't realize how much of an impact it had until, if you are mindful and aware of your surroundings. Self-awareness is very important in this. You acknowledging it is starting the wheel of self-awareness, and then practicing that mindfulness is what actually speeds up the wheel, so you're able to do it more. It stops you from doing a lot of impulsive things, and from making bad decisions, because you're allowing your body to like build in, to listen to your intuition and build those feelings that you need to understand on how to move. And you're also able to regulate your thoughts, so you're not overthinking the situation and also referring to the past, because that is the thing with shadow work. You ask yourself, why am I feeling the thing? And that's your current event. And then you ask, what did I what did I why did I react that way? That's addressing the past and thinking of a memory that consistently moves in with that feeling. And that's the thing is, you want to feel those feelings, but you don't want to turn them into emotions, energy and motion, because that is when you start to do things out of emotion, especially if you can't control them and articulate them, to process them and filter them out, because that is where things are getting bottlenecked, because that's where you get suppressed emotions from, and they're coming out in different ways. Um, and then once you address those feelings, you address the past, you then travel to the present for your future by reminding yourself that you aren't that person. So now you're helping your future out and staying like you're getting yourself back into the present, because this also puts you in the past when you're in your anger, especially when it's impulsive anger. Like, you're going to be angry sometimes, it's going to happen, but there's ways that you can handle that to where it's more healthy. But there's also discerning what times to do what needs to be done and how to do it, especially when it comes to speech. That's where a lot of people get themselves messed up, and throwing the first punch. um, But yeah, that's where like you think of stunted growth and trauma, like adults, or I'm sorry, like adult child stars, those who weren't able to have the support needed or the guidance needed to articulate their emotions, or even be able to be surrounded by people who are going to help them push themselves on the right path, instead of like doing weird things, or like doing drugs, or like just hurting themselves. They just kind of let them do whatever. And there's some that, when they get famous, there's a time where they get stunted, and you can tell by the way that they act. And that's a lot of like immaturity, where you are 30 and you're acting like a 14-year-old. Well, that's because there's something in your teenage years that hurt you and kept you there, and that's being in the past. But it's all up to you understanding even how to tackle these things to even get them done. And a lot of people aren't able to, because a lot of this is taught in like therapy, even if it is. So once you do that, you come to that conclusion, and then you implement the lesson and apply it to the present lesson. But also you make sure that you ground it to where you're able to identify it again and again and again. That's where pattern recognition is key, and all of us humans can do it. It's all about what you're paying attention to. And if you're being intentional and you're being mindful, you will be able to pick up on this easy. And then you repeat for every quest. And I think of these quests as appearing like shadow Pokemon. The karmic loops are when you catch the same Pokemon. It does nothing for you. Like, yeah, there's some that are better than others, but like you're filling up your bag with the same Pokemon. You're not even doing anything with it. So now it's time to change the way that you catch them. Do you catch different ones? Do you catch a shiny this time? And it's not to say that you are intentionally attracting these things. It's just how life is, and you have to just see them as these are shadow Pokemon just appearing in your life, and you have to catch them. But how you catch them is or rather, you're going to catch them regardless, but there's a way that you catch them, and you have to know what to do with them once you catch them, because again, these are shadow Pokemon, and for those who know, they have to be purified. In order to purify them, you have to do what I just said, that whole step. And then legendaries and shinies are the trauma. They don't come often, but when they do, they shake things up. They're very, very different from anything that you'll deal with. Very, very powerful, especially if you don't know how to regulate at all. Like, there are some people who are so filled with trauma, they have lost all of their autonomy. So in order to refrain from putting yourself in positions like that, you gotta know how to tackle them so you're not stuck in them again. There's going to be things that you just can't avoid, but they are there in your life to make you stronger in the first place. So the best thing that you can do is use them to your benefit. And the only way that you can be able to battle with these Pokemon, or use them in battle rather, not battle with them, use them in battle, like if someone tries to come for your looks, well, I love myself enough, or I have tackled the things that have made me not love myself enough to not react in the way that I would used to react. Yes, I am angry in this moment because you hit me with a pretty remarkably nice comeback or remark, but I don't have time for this. And I'm going to take this anger that you gave me and I'm going to put it into my schooling, my work, my music. Even you can even put it in your music and actually write about it. Then you've done two things. You've done the shadow work because you talked about it to yourself, and you have also calmed yourself down. And then you can also afterwards like ask yourself how I got in that position. I didn't have to have that conversation with that person. I need to be more valuable with my energy entirely, and just watch how people move. And if they move like that, then I need to move away before it gets any more chaotic. But yeah, I want to see what Spirit has to say, and then we'll head out. I'll also get you a Fae Whisper. All right, Spirit, is there anything you want to say? Got the Moon with the Lovers and the Hangman. Well, now that you know the truth, now that the illusions have been broken about how you think that you can't get out of this, Tower, it might be shocking to some of you that it's that easy, or that it can get easier. You're making good choices, or at least you have the potential to make good choices now that you know this. And with the Hangman, I feel like you guys are seeing a new perspective, or this is a moment for you guys to take a pause when making your choices. And I pretty much just taught you how to do it. So heed my idea. Honestly, this came from Spirit. Spirit told me to get up and do this. Um, so you may run into some people when you change how you react and you become more um, selective in how you interact with people. You may have to cut some people off just by your perspective change. This could be some narcissists or just people who like to argue, and they're going to feel left out. They're going to feel like they're not part of a clique, or that you're not aligned, or even when you let them go, they're going to know that you feel like they're not aligned. And this is because you stepped out. You understand how this works now, or maybe in the future this is. But just know to keep going. There's 6 billion and counting on this planet. You will find someone just like them or even better again. They could be getting conversation and they're shocked that you're taking this healing path, but again, there's nothing we can do about how they respond. We can only control ourselves. If they want to be restless thinking about you, they're investing their lives in you. And you know, that's the thing with materialism, is we don't realize that even our energy is precious, just like the money that is honestly symbolic of the energy that we put out into this world. And we don't realize that we're giving away our power when we spend all this time watching other people, observing other people, because it takes external things to satisfy us. And that is when you know you're off your path. So if you have these people around you, they're pulling you off your path. And you need to isolate and really understand your energy. So when these people come around, you start working with your gut as well. We're starting to build your crown and your solar at this time. And the only way to regulate your solar is to regulate that crown. Crown, your throat, your heart, and so forth downward. But you can get a lot done just activating those two alone, mainly your crown though, because it will shoot out into the rest. And it's almost like the work will most likely be mostly done. So then you can move forward with your healing a lot easier. There might be certain chakras that will be blocked, that will be harder to unblock later, but as long as you keep moving forward, it will unblock. So there's really nothing that you need to worry about. This could be shocking to these people that want to argue, that want to even use your works against you too, that like to do that whenever you get hot-headed, if you don't become active and you become more vocal, or even they use that to cause you to be active. They are watching you move forward and head towards your desires, and they're shocked. They might have even tried to get you into these arguments on purpose. They might be even the reason why you're having your issues. And it doesn't work anymore. Because you found someone like me to help you get out of the stagnancy that they have put you in, but that you have accepted to be around you, which is okay, because we all do it. And now that you know, you're free, even if it's just here. You're free, dude. 7 of Cups reverse, Ace of Pentacles, and 7 of Pentacles. If you keep going, everything will be clear. I'm like literally about to cry. It's so pretty. You have the opportunity to change, man. To have a new opportunity, a new path. And that's because you're sowing seeds that are going to benefit you. And you might have been at a point where you couldn't take it anymore. That might have been what ripped the mask off, revealed the what was behind the curtain. But you persevered and moved into clear waters when you do this, or when you did this. Take what resonates. You know, I think everybody's in their healing path different. Like some of you guys could be just watching this just for a refresher, or even just another like perspective, and you already have done this. So take it as it resonates. But yeah, I think you're gonna be just fine. Just keep going. All right, I'll get you a Fae Whisper. Find tranquility within. Let your spirit flow like water. Luminous lake. Fae friendship. Nurture your connections. Find strength in the bonds of trust and love. Yeah. This is all about regulating the emotions. Finding that tranquility within. Building that home within. Coming home to yourself. Even if it's just by doing the shadow work so you can feel a little bit better. And with Fae friendship, nurture your connections, find strength in bonds of trust and love. Find those true, trustworthy, and love-filled connections. Whispering woods. Listen to the trees. Find wisdom in the ancient whispers. I don't know if you were guided here, or if maybe you've been hearing a little voice and you've wanted to follow it. If you haven't, you want to follow it. If it's not a fairy, it's definitely spirit asking you to do better for yourself. And if you were guided to do this, keep listening. Because you're only being told this because you have something to do. You have somewhere to be. And it's not down here. It's not punching the air. It's not screaming and hearing your body cry out for help. Because you have the help now. And you can get up and move forward. I'll see you next time.